All right, let's talk Dallas Cowboys this offseason, and we've covered a lot on this channel. We've seen the Cowboys going through incremental changes in terms of how they manage their team, in terms of how they handle things. Obviously, the leadership group at the top with the Jones family hasn't changed, but it's clear their approach has, and it's been much needed. And there was some news a few days ago that kind of slid under the radar, but I think it's actually another huge indicator that much needed change has arrived and will continue to come in Dallas. We'll get into this report in just 1 second, but first, I'm Nick, that's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Cowboys have made a lot of solid headline-grabbing moves this offseason, of course, whether it's filling out the coaching staff, adding some players, letting some other players go, signing some big deals, some team-friendly deals. But recently there was a report that is nowhere near that level of scale, at least in terms of headlines. But I think it's really important to what the Cowboys are doing in terms of approach from a leadership perspective going forward. This is a few days old, but I think it's really important. Let's pull this up. This is courtesy of NBC Sports. The Cowboys announced on Wednesday that Dearian Overshown will wear number 0 during the 2025 season. No Cowboys player has worn that number since the NFL allowed players to don it in 2023. As soon as they changed the policy where you can now wear number 0 in the NFL, I just knew it was meant to be, Overshown said via the team's website. Being the first one to wear it at Texas, growing up a Longhorn and a Cowboy in the great state of Texas, I wear it as a badge of honor. It's not too many people that get to say that you're the first to do anything, and to say I'm the first to wear number 0 at Texas and the first to do it in Dallas Cowboys history. That's a badge of honor. There were plans for cornerback Jaron Kearse to wear number 0 in 2023, but he ultimately wound up as number 1 after roster moves opened the number up for him. That opened the door for Overshown to break the seal this year. All right, for anyone who follows this kind of stuff, and I know this is really in the weeds, there's reports, and it's been pretty much verified, that number 0 was held in reserve by Jerry Jones for the mascot, for Rowdy, right? Which is absolutely, totally, completely idiotic, right? I'm more positive on Jerry Jones and the Jones family leadership than most people. That was absolutely stupid. The mascot has, no pun intended, zero priority. Who cares about the mascot, right? But Jerry Jones and the Jones family said, no, that's our mascot's number, probably for merchandising or for some other things. They didn't want to give up that number, and that was absolutely stupid. The goal and the priority should always be about winning football games, setting up players for success. And jersey numbers, as silly as it sounds, really matter to a lot of players. It just does. It's why you retire certain jersey numbers. And Jerry Jones obviously understood this, but for some reason, for a few years, he said 0 is off the books. They changed that rule this offseason for Overshown, who totally deserves it. Coming into rehab, he seems to be doing a great job. Hope he makes a full recovery. All the best for him, because when he's healthy, he is a superstar on this Cowboys defense. But I think what we're seeing here is yet another example of the Cowboys leadership, Jones family, Jerry Jones, changing, shifting priorities. It's not all about selling merch anymore. It's not about getting clicks anymore. It's not all about, getting all over the media and getting people on ESPN to talk about you for hours on end, right? It's about football moves. We saw it with the head coach. We saw it with the coaching staff hires. We've seen it with most of the moves they made this offseason so far. We've seen it with the fact they're actually having ongoing Micah Parsons contract negotiations months before they ever did it with Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb in a similar situation. We're seeing a change in the Cowboys leadership in the front office. It's much needed. And again, this by itself, not a big deal at all. But when you take in the context of everything that the Cowboys have been over the past 5 years or so, and now that we're seeing big seismic changes across the board, I think this is yet another indicator that the Cowboys, again, is this a headline grabbing move? No, but they're heading in the right direction. Jerry Jones, the Jones family, the leadership at the top is finally making the small incremental changes literally everywhere to get this Cowboys team focused on the only thing that truly matters, and that's winning football games. All right, Myers, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Dallas fans, in the comment section below, draft is a few weeks away. So I'm going to ask you guys, who do you want the Cowboys to pick up more than anybody else in the upcoming NFL draft? Not who you want them to get in like the first round or anything like that, but who do you want them to pick just overall? A guy you really liked in college, maybe he's a player on your favorite team or whatever that you want the Cowboys to pick, whether it's in the first round or the seventh. Give us that one player you want to see wearing the Cowboys uniform next season. Put them in the comment section below. But Myers, over to you. What are your thoughts on this sort of move and just the whole strategic shift that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys leadership has enacted this offseason?
Yeah, I think it's a great move, and it's gonna, make a player happy and Overshown, which, like you said, as inconsequential to the game as it is, jersey numbers are important. That's something that, players like. That's really, other than the name on the back of your jersey, the only way to like set yourself apart from other people on the field is the number on your shirt. You play football before, sometimes like people don't even know what the player's names is. Like they call them 12, they call them, 73, 68, whatever the numbers are. They just call people out by their numbers, opposing team does. Hey, watch for number 8, watch for this guy. So the number is an identifier and it means a lot to the players. In the grand scheme of the game, really doesn't mean anything. What a player is really not gonna affect how they play or affect anything through the team. So the fact that Jerry Jones is like, all right, let's just let the numbers out. If it makes the players happy, we'll go for it. And this is the trend. You kind of talked about it. Just the team making more football moves. And you talked about it. The team not making, crazy headlines anymore, not trying to get clicks, not trying to have sound bites to be in the media every single day anymore. And this is I've developed this mantra in my head in, the last couple of weeks and months over this offseason. And it's this: the more boring the Dallas Cowboys get, the more excited I am for this season for the Cowboys, because it shows football is at the forefront of this team. The less people want to talk, the less they try to make people talk about them, the less things like that happen, the more they're focused on football, the more these smart overarching moves we've been talking about, just X's and O's type of stuff, nothing big, nothing splashy. Let's have a boring offseason. Let's make some boring acquisitions. Let's make some boring football-minded moves as far as that goes. It's not flash. It's not glitz and glamour, not getting divas type players out here. Let's have boring contract negotiations. Okay, you want this number? I think this number. All right, let's meet in the middle. Done deal. Let's move forward. That is what's getting me excited about this team, because it's a break from the norm. I think they're really, really smart moves. Now, something as small as a number, inconsequential, doesn't mean a whole bunch for this team. But again, make it less boring. Don't make a headline. Don't have a player get upset because they can't get a number. Let them have the number. Keep the thing rolling. I think this is a great move for the Cowboys going forward overall. And I think, like you said, it shows the general direction, the general trajectory of this team is in a good direction. They're really making some smart moves. And this, as small as it may be, is another step in that, walkway, saying, hey, we're going to keep it going forward. Let's keep the team moving. Let's keep making these changes, things we wouldn't do in the past. And I think this is a really good sign for the Cowboys going forward.
Yeah, and just one final point to end on here. I think it's really important, is that it's clear that Jerry Jones and his group around him, they listen, right? I think this is one of the concerns I had with them, is that, oh my goodness, they're so siloed. They're in their bubble. They're not hearing what's going on, right? And I think what we've seen this offseason is that they do listen, right? They do look around and they see the landscape, and they've made a lot of moves that indicate that they've been listening. Not to, you don't really listen too much to what the fans or what the media are saying, but what the team is saying, what the players are saying, what the coaches are saying, right? A lot of those kind of criticisms. And they went out and done, in a lot of ways, the kind of moves that the players like, right? Yeah, Schottenheimer, the assistant coaches they brought in, right? Some of the players they brought in, good X's and O's guys, but good Joe's guys too, across the board. It's been a very well-structured offseason. They've been listening to what needs to happen, and they've been reacting to it. You got Overshown. You can tell how much zero means to him. He's a future young star of this Cowboys team. I think he's going to be a superstar. Hopefully he comes back from the injury. I think what we saw at the end of last season, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy looks like, a playmaker pair with Micah Parsons for the next decade, and this is just destructive on defense. I mean, that pick six on Thanksgiving, absolutely redunculous, one of the top plays of the entire NFL season. But the reality is, making these players be happy about being there, making these players be just really bought in and feel like they're valued and things like that. It doesn't seem like much, but it really, really does matter, especially when you're the Dallas Cowboys and everyone's going to cover you 1,000 times a Sunday. The running joke I have with the Cowboys, and this, Mize, is like, if the Cowboys win, then on ESPN, there's 6 days of conversation about how the Cowboys are going to blow it and lose next week. If the Cowboys lose, there's 6 days of conversation on ESPN on how much they suck. No conversations about the teams they played or are going to play, just straight about the Cowboys. And that's the reality. And when you're under that microscope, you have to understand, as a leadership, you have to make things better for your players and your staff. You have to put them in situations where they're happier to be there, where they feel more bought in, because there's definitely an us versus them mentality that comes out of those situations. And the Cowboys leadership and Jerry Jones, they're finally listening to these complaints, especially when it comes from the players, when it comes from people in the organization, and they're making the moves they need to remedy at least some of them. And it's the right step to make.